Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, CAmpea, and this is one of our special companion videos. Now, every day on the CAmpea show and on our open mic show in the afternoon, we take live questions from the audience, but I don't always have time to get around to all of those questions. But I want to make sure you guys know that if you ask the question live on the show, it will get answered. And so I take all those questions that didn't get answered during the live shows, and I answer them here on these companion videos. Now, we got a whole hell of a lot of questions to get through today because I got leftover questions from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and this morning's CAmpea show. So we got a hell of a lot of questions to get through. So we're going to go through them pretty quick and we'll see if we can do this in under an hour. I doubt that we can, but we'll give it a shot. All right, let's get things rolling here. And we're going to start off with Kelsang, who writes, "Just saw Tomb Raider. Performances are great. Vikander is amazing. Script needed work, but great beginning for Lara Croft. Chances for a sequel, I hope." Well, I enjoyed the new Tomb Raider. And as far as, a video game movie goes, just saying it's a pretty good movie is a huge step in the right direction because it's been a while since we've been able to say that. And I agree. I think Alicia Vikander was terrific. Script needed work. The story beats needed some work, but the sense of adventure was there. The action was really good. Vikander played a great hero for us to get on board with. We felt for her. It was quite good. It was a good outing. It's a nice little movie. Not fantastic, but it's a nice little movie. Whether or not it'll get a sequel, it's doing okay internationally. It struggled on its opening week. It only made like $23 million on its opening weekend. Frankly, an IP with the title of Tomb Raider on it should have done better. It should have been number one at the box office. It should have beat Black Panther. I mean, not in its first, second, or third week, but it should have beat Black Panther in its fifth week, only making $27 million. It doesn't matter what movie it was, if it's Black Panther, Star Wars, whatever. If a movie makes $27 million and your movie's called Tomb Raider and you're opening on your opening weekend, you should have been able to beat $27 million. It's all going to be about international box office at this point because clearly the domestic is not going to be enough to get it a sequel. Maybe the international numbers will get us there because I want to see another one. I kind of enjoyed the first one. All right, let's move on here. Next one comes to us from Tinosvaldo, who writes, "Love your show approach of reading and answering questions. Does feel like we're having a conversation. Keep it up." Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. And yeah, I do kind of like the flowing back and forth kind of nature of going through questions really quick. It does kind of feel like we're having a conversation between me and all the other film fans. It's great to have. Thank you so much for the comment. All right, next one comes to us from Styler Manu, who writes, "Planning to watch Annihilation on Netflix tonight." Well, that would have been probably Friday that you wrote that. Let us know what you thought about it. I got to admit, I know a lot of people quite enjoyed Annihilation. I watched it and I felt like the movie thought it was smarter than it was. I thought it was a very well put together movie. I liked it. I'm glad I watched it, but I got to admit, I didn't like it nearly as much as a lot of other people did. And I kind of felt like, oh, now I can see why they kind of ditched it off on Netflix. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. Let us know what you thought about it, man. All right, next one comes to us from Austin Buchert, who writes, "I hope they remember you." Who is he talking to? Of course, there's a line in the Avengers Infinity War trailer where Thanos is talking to somebody apparently he's just wrapping up a battle with and saying, "I hope they remember you," like he's about to kill somebody. Now, the trailer will have you believe that he's talking to Tony. I think that's not misdirection. I actually think he is talking to Tony, and that could be 1,000 other characters that he could be speaking to. We'll find out for sure. Maybe he's talking to one of his own generals. I mean, that's about to die or something like that. Who knows? We'll find out. But the trailer seems to suggest he's talking to Tony. I kind of believe that's the case here. We've seen a lot of MCU movies pull some misdirects with their trailers. I actually don't think this is a misdirect. I think he's talking to Tony. But I also don't think Tony's going to die in that moment. We'll have to wait and find out. Bobby M. writes, "Thoughts on the Canadian band Our Lady Peace? They've been around since the 90s and are still putting out interesting music. They're a great band. Great band. I remember I went to go watch Our Lady Peace play live in Edmonton, Alberta once, and just terrific band with some wonderful tunes. Somewhere out there, like they're really a really good band. They got a very unique sound, a great rock kind of edge to them. I'm a big fan of Our Lady Peace, so thanks for mentioning them. And if you guys haven't seen, look up on YouTube. It's like from the early 2000s. I think their best song is called "Somewhere Out There." Look it up. Our Lady Peace Somewhere Out There. Terrific song. A lot of you guys not from Canada may not have heard of it, but jump on over there and check it out. Let's see. Manuel Fernandez writes, thoughts on Rise of the Guardians, the animated film about Jack Frost, Santa, the Easter Bunny, Sandman, and Tooth Fairy. I think it's really underrated. It's a nice little film. You got Hugh Jackman is one of the voices. Chris Pine is the voice of Jack Frost in it. Alec Baldwin is the voice, does like this kind of Russian-voiced Santa Claus. It's a really nice little film that, you're right, it is underrated. Like a lot of people, nobody ever talks about it. Like, I mean, I never really even talk about it either, but it's a fun film. It's got a better adventure and action in it than you might think. The character interaction is really good. It's a superhero team-up movie. That's really what it is. So if you get a chance, check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks for bringing it up, Manuel. I think more people need to check that one out. JT Smith writes, will we ever see a Captain America / Iron Man crossover in films? Avengers Age of Ultron, Civil War, Avengers Infinity War. I'd say we already have. I think, now if what you're asking, will we see a crossover with them without anybody else? I don't know. I don't see why you take your two biggest stars, your two biggest characters, and to the exclusion of everybody else and just put them in one movie together. Doesn't seem like that would make a lot of sense, so I'm going to go ahead and guess no. I don't think we'll ever see that. But again, we're seeing them cross over in films constantly. Let's see. The Man with the Plan writes, such a Hulk fanatic. Oh, yourself. You're such a Hulk fanatic. Will Hulk end up fighting the big guy in the Black Order, brute against brute? I don't know. I don't think anybody in the universe can go really toe-to-toe with the Hulk. Not even Thor. I think ultimately Hulk would have won that fight against Thor. But he'll lose against Thanos. But I don't think any of Thanos' henchmen should be able to be proposed as being able to go Hulk to Hulk. I don't care what they do in the comics. This is the movies. So I don't know. I don't think we'll see that. I'm going out on a big limb here. I'm going to guess that we don't see that. Could be wrong though, because what you're proposing does make sense. Thomas Hartsock writes, hey John, were you a fan of Justified? Great show. I only saw a couple of episodes of Justified, enough to get a sense of the flavor on it, but I never had time to really get on board with it. So yet another great show that everybody talks about that I haven't had a chance really to watch. The Incredible Hulk writes, has Marvel explained where Lady Sif went? Is she dead? Is she alive? Will she return? No idea. They just didn't bring it up. Thor Ragnarok came, and they just never brought it up. At least I don't remember anybody in any conversation at any point saying, Lady Sif is off on whatever world on such mission. No, she's just not there. So I don't know if she, ran out to buy a new car. I don't know if she's on vacation somewhere. But they just never went into where Lady Sif is. So all I can guess is Jamie Alexander isn't with the MCU anymore, and they just decided to write her out, which leaves the door open for her to come back. The last time we saw Lady Sif was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think that's the last time we saw her. So where she is now, who knows? We're going to have to wait and find out. I think we'll see her again at some point. I don't think we're going to see her in Avengers, either 3 or 4, but I think we'll see her again at some point. All right, next one. Styler Manor writes, have you watched The Last Jedi deleted scenes and documentary? Would you recommend the digital download or Blu-ray? I'm considering whether to buy it or not. Well, I mean, I'm going to buy the Blu-ray only because I'm on the Blu-ray. So I'm a little bit obviously biased in that. I haven't bought the Blu-ray yet. But this is going to be one of those rare circumstances where I buy the Blu-ray because I mentioned last week I'm on one of the special features just for a few seconds. It's nothing big or important, but I'm on a Star Wars Blu-ray, so I've got to go get the Blu-ray. But I'm hearing great things about all the bonus features on the Blu-ray. So this might be one where you consider getting the Blu-ray, but I haven't watched the special features myself. This is all secondhand, so I can't give you a recommendation on my own, except to say that I'm going to get the Blu-ray only because I'm on it for like 5 seconds. So I got to get it. So that's about it. Let's see. Trevor Johnson writes, speaking of the DCEU, if Rick stayed on to, Rick Famuyiwa, I always mispronounce his name, stayed on to direct, and they knew what they were doing, we would have gotten the Flash release today. Is that true? Like, I'm guessing you probably sent this in on Saturday's show. Is that when? I'll have to look that up, but wouldn't that be funny if this past weekend was when the Flash movie was supposed to release before all the, you know, everybody tripping over themselves and everything getting messed up over there. I never realized that. If that's true, I didn't even notice that the date had passed. Okay, let's move on. Good thing to bring up, Trevor. That's a really interesting point you're bringing up if that's true. Luna Comics writes, clarifying Jackie. Doki Doki is a game. Okay, so this goes back to a question that somebody asked me about this thing Doki Doki, but I'd never even heard of Doki Doki, so I couldn't comment on it. So Luna Comics follows up with clarifying what Jackie wrote. Doki Doki is a game where the game you play is cursed/haunted, and the game haunts you, making you the victim. Check it out. Okay, again, I had never heard of it, but that sounds very Japanese. I mean, that sounds, and that's a pretty intriguing sounding idea. A little bit like The Ring. You know, you watch the tape, you die. It's got a little bit of that feel too. So I'll check it out and see what it is you're talking about. Thanks for following up on that, Luna. I appreciate the clarification. Dominic Suma writes, regarding the helmet, Thanos is ashamed of his hairline. Yeah, so I asked a question when the Thanos trailer came out, where the Infinity War trailer came out. And I cannot believe how serious people took me. Seriously, I've been getting like shit from people on Twitter and everything because I cannot believe how seriously people thought I was. Okay. So the trailer comes out and there's a scene where Thanos takes his helmet off. And I, joking around, goes, you know, what does Thanos need a helmet for? He's like, according to, you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy, he's the most powerful being in the universe. Why does he need a helmet? I mean, I get it. Safety first, but why does he need a helmet? And I get all these comments from people who thought I was dead serious, like, John, why are you crapping on Thanos? Why are you shitting on the trailer? Saying that maybe he needs... I was like, take a break. I was clearly joking. The biggest question in my mind about the movie is not why is Thanos wearing a helmet. I was clearly joking. But you would not believe some of the angry emails and tweets I got from people. John, how dare you shit on Thanos like that? Like, seriously, like... Oh my God. But anyway, maybe it's his hairline, the fact that he has no hairline. Or maybe he did have a receding hairline. He decided to shave his head and this is a new look. We'll have to find out. Interesting thought, Dominic. Let's see. Tinosvaldo writes, love Ray's work. For those of you who don't know who he's talking about, Ray is my graphics guy. He's actually been working with me all the way back since the AMC days. AMC days all the way through, and now he's working with me again. And Ray just also happens to be my brother-in-law. He's Anne's brother, and he is fantastic at the graphics. He does such a great job at the graphics. I'm not using them any on this video here because it's not worth using Ray's. I mean, it'd be far too much work to do. But when you watch the John Campea show or the special editorials, he puts a lot of those graphics together. He does such a good job on them. He's great. And also I've got Jonathan Voico working with me again. Jonathan Voico is another guy who's been working with me ever since the AMC days. And I'm really lucky to have him working with me now, doing a lot of the editing because I'm doing a lot of videos and I just don't have time to edit some of them. And he does them. He does a terrific job. I'm so lucky to have both Ray and Jonathan working with me. Anyway, finishing off the email. I love Ray's work. Always look forward to what he conjures up. Recent favorite, Thanos photobombing Hulk in your Hulk's role in the vid. That was a good one. I mean, seriously, look at all the stuff he puts together. He does, sometimes they're just so funny. Like one of my favorites that he's done, that Ray has done so far, was a video I did on the runtime of Avengers Infinity War. Like when the announcement came out about how long the Infinity War would run, and that it was going to be the longest MCU movie so far. He did this great picture of Thanos like this with a big stopwatch around his hand. I'm not describing it, but it was great. So Ray does a lot of really good work. Thanks for pointing that out, man. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Let's see. Just Plain Steve writes, here's my guess. Thanos isn't crushing Thor's head. Thor is screaming because he's making him watch as the Black Order kills Loki. That's a great theory. I've heard some other people mention that too. There, of course, is that shot in the Infinity War trailer where Thor's down on his knees and Thanos' hand is like crushing his head and he's yelling. But the theory here is, and it's a very good theory and it matches perfectly, is that he's not screaming in pain, but rather it's Thanos making Thor watch Loki die. And they're going to kill Loki. I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there left who doesn't think Loki's going to die. I think everybody at this point is just assuming Loki dies in that opening scene. Probably doing something heroic to save Thor. But Yeah, you're not alone in that theory, Steve. A number of people are mentioning it. I think it sounds likely, especially when you watch the trailer and you see it. Thor seems to be looking at something, and he's probably looking at Loki die. I mean, that's probably what's happening. It breaks my heart to even think about that, but that seems to be what's going on there. Spencer Smothers writes, "Can't wait to see everyone finding out Hulk talks." But you know what? That was one of my criticisms of Thor Ragnarok, and I loved Thor Ragnarok. But one of my criticisms is all of a sudden Thor or Hulk is having conversational English, and it didn't faze Thor at all. Like, not for a moment. Like Thor, every interaction Thor has had with Hulk, Hulk is a non-speaking monster, right? He doesn't speak. All of a sudden, he's having conversations with Thor, and Thor not once in Thor Ragnarok goes, "Hey man, when did you start talking?" Like, never once fazed him. So if it didn't faze him, I have a feeling he's going to come back to Earth, and everybody's just going to act like it's normal that he's talking. I mean, if they did it in Thor Ragnarok, I don't know why they wouldn't do it in the rest of the things, so there you go. It should be a big deal, but they didn't make a big deal out of it at all. Okay. We go now to Black X, who writes, "This trailer," talking about the Infinity War trailer, I'm sure. "This trailer makes me so hype. I can't wait for the movie and the hot toys." Oh my God, the hot toys. Oh my God, the hot toys. I'm gonna get in trouble. I don't allow myself to get many hot toys. Believe me, at least twice a week, I'm on Hot Toys' website, just looking at the toys and drooling over the hot toys. But there's a reason I only got a handful of them, because they're expensive. And they're worth it. I'm not saying they're overpriced. They're worth it. They're pieces of art. They're beautiful pieces of art. But they're expensive. You're talking on the cheap end, you're talking $250, all the way up to like $350, depending on some of the bigger ones. You can pay up to $800 for them. And most of them are around that $250 to $350 range. They're just expensive. But I'm already knowing, I'm working up my excuses right now about the excuses I'm going to make to Anne about why I missed paying rent that month. "Oh, honey. Did I forget to pay rent that month? Really, I spent all my money on hot toys. It's because of I bought you a present." I don't know. I'm going to have to come up with some kind of excuses because I can just imagine how amazing the hot toys are going to be. Micah T writes, "Still no Hawkeye Ant-Man in today's trailer." So this was a question Micah sent in on Friday. And, here we are still. Of course, the theories that Jeremy Renner mentioned that Hawkeye's on some kind of mission. So he will have a side mission that is so secretive that showing anything of him may spoil it for the audience. So that's one of the theories, that he's on a mission, but his mission is so important that showing us anything of it in the trailers may spoil it. Of course, the predominant theory right now that at least I'm kind of subscribing to at the moment is that he's on a mission trying to find Carol Danvers, finding Captain Marvel. Because remember, the movie Captain Marvel takes place in like the 80s and the 90s, and director Fury, Samuel Jackson, is going to be in Captain Marvel, the movie. So he's going to probably send them or leave a message that you got to find this person. She's going to be able to help us fight back against this invasion. And he's not, but who knows? But yeah, still nothing. Dirk Walker writes, "What if Thanos gets all the Infinity Stones, but then Loki somehow manages to switch his gauntlet with the fake one from the vault? Thanos doesn't realize until Cap stops his punch." I mean, it's possible. I don't remember seeing Loki lug something that big on. How he snuck in the Tesseract is pretty impressive, but I also don't think the Infinity Stones would attach themselves to a fake gauntlet. That's just my theory. I mean, we're talking about make-believe things. I don't know what would really happen. But my thought process is that I don't know that the Infinity Stones would attach, because we see him attaching stones into the gauntlet, right? I don't know that they would attach into a fake gauntlet. So I'm guessing no, but it's not a terrible theory because something has to explain how Thanos can go at Captain America and Captain America can stop his punch. And then remember, he doesn't just stop the punch and stop his hand. The camera then goes back on Thanos' face and Thanos looks confused. Like exerting a lot of effort, confused, and maybe a bit concerned. Like, the look on his face is like really key. How do you explain that? Something's got to explain it. And because here's the thing, even if it is a fake gauntlet, Thanos on his own should be strong enough to be able to put down Captain America on his own. So what is causing that? That is one of the biggest questions I'm going into Infinity War with. I got to see how they're going to play that out. Mr. M9991 writes, man, Ebony Maw looks awesome in that trailer. He looks like right out of A Nightmare, man. For those of you not quite sure who he is, he's the guy that when Doctor Strange is getting tortured and it goes to the bad guy going, shh. Oh, he looks like right out of A Nightmare. Completely terrifying. So the look of like all of the Black Order, they just look terrific. They look great. So let's see how they actually play out. Sam Fisher writes, maybe those flashbacks come from Thanos' life flashing before his eyes as he dies at the hands of his daughters. Hey, not a wild theory. Look, I still believe there is a possibility Thanos dies in this movie. I think there's a possibility the Avengers beat Thanos, but there's still some other problem that has to be dealt with, which leads us into Avengers 4. There's a possibility. I would put my money on Thanos not dying in this movie. That's why I put my money on, that he doesn't die. But I believe it's possible he dies. And for dramatic effect, what better, more poetic way than to die at the hands of Nebula and Gamora? Because we saw that flashback in the trailer where the moment that he adopts Gamora, we see the little girl, the little green hand grabbing Thanos' finger and walking with him like Thanos claiming her as his daughter. I mean, I don't think we're going to have Thanos have his life flashing before his eyes, but I'm not completely in a position where I would reject the theory that maybe they kill him in this movie. I mean, that's some terrific drama right there if they do. Again, I wouldn't bet on it. I would bet against it, as a matter of fact, but it's possible and it would be really cool. Media Fanatic writes, what if Thanos is actually holding Thor's head, forcing him to watch the same question? See, I told you weren't the only one who thought it. Forcing him to watch Loki die from the Black Order and Thor screaming for his brother, too dark, not too dark. I mean, we're talking about global annihilation, kind of half humanity getting wiped out kind of stuff. This is going to be dark. There are dark things in it. Look, in Thor Ragnarok, they just had Thor had his eye ripped out. Odin, the Allfather, dies. Asgard gets destroyed. I mean, they will do dark things. Loki dying while Thor being forced to watch, you got to have something that's going to piss Thor off that much, and that could very well do it, and we've already kind of covered that, of course, but I told you weren't the only one that had that theory. Well done, media. All right, next one comes to us from N. Starks 007, who writes, I can't get behind Ava DuVernay doing New Gods. A Wrinkle in Time was a poorly told, convoluted mess of a film, and New Gods is inherently convoluted. It's an example of failing upwards. Yeah, failing upwards. Okay, Ava DuVernay, lest you forget, just like 3 years ago, directed a film that got nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. All right? So let's get rid of this failing upwards nonsense. Okay, that's ridiculous. Okay, she has proven she is a gifted storyteller because Selma is outstanding. And that is not an easy story to tell. The performances that she was able to direct out of her characters, the way she told that narrative and laid it out, and the beats and the pacing of it, it's a brilliantly done movie that she did, and the film got nominated for Best Picture as a result. So let's just get rid of this nonsense of failing upwards thing. A Wrinkle in Time wasn't that bad. I didn't like it. I give it a negative review. So let's not pretend I really like the film. I didn't. I don't recommend it. I give it a negative review. But it wasn't horrible. And I still believe, the reason I believe Warner Brothers got her is because they believe the same thing I believe, which is if you got 100 directors to try to direct A Wrinkle in Time, which a lot of people dubbed as simply an unfilmable book, if you got 100 directors to each direct their own version of it, maybe 4 or 5 of them might have done a better job than she did. So I think Warner Brothers recognizes what I recognize, which is she probably did as good of a job as almost anybody could have done with that particular source material. Now remember, this was a movie that she didn't come up with. Disney was making this movie. They had gotten the girl who wrote Frozen and co-directed Frozen to write the script for it. So there was already a script, there was already a project in place, and they brought in Ava to direct it. And I think, as Warner Brothers clearly thinks, that she probably did as good. There are very few people that could have done it any better. And Selma kind of proves that. So, look, I think the bigger question mark is then the thing I'm more concerned about is them doing a New Gods movie at all And the word being out there that it's not even going to be connected to the DCEU. That's the thing that concerns me a little bit more. I think people are being far too simplistic when looking at the Ava DuVernay situation and trying to evaluate on, oh, well, that movie wasn't good, therefore she's a bad pick for this. Step back, look at the broader picture of everything. And I think you'll see that Warner Brothers, this is a win for Warner Brothers. Nabbing Ava DuVernay, getting somebody of her talent on board to do this, it's a win. Now, you're right. New Gods and like Fourth World and all that kind of stuff is going to be very, very tough to tell and kind of convoluted all on its own. Whether she can do it or whether any director can do it really justice, we're just going to have to wait and find out. Master Young writes, thoughts on Thoroughbreds? A little disappointing. The pace of the movie is much slower than the trailer suggested. Anton Yelchin is great, though. I quite enjoyed the film. You are right. The pace of the film is a little slower, but it has pace. It has cadence. See, some people confuse a movie lacking pace meaning a movie is slow. No. A movie can be slow and still have a cadence, still have its pace. I found Thoroughbreds to have pace and to have a cadence. It is a slower film because the trailers do kind of suggest that it's almost like a Guy Ritchie kind of boom, 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 boom kind of movie, and it's not. It's definitely not. But I quite enjoyed the film. And seeing Anton Yelchin in his final film was bittersweet. I thought he was great in it as well. But not a lot of people went out to go see it. It's a tricky movie to market, so I don't think they knew how to get the word out about it. But I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. All right, next one comes to us from Chua Sang, who writes, Steve Rogers seems to be the most important character for this movie. I fear this is to build up an impactful death. I'm just more and more convinced. I disagree, and we've already kind of heard that Captain America is not the most important character in the film. Like, remember, you're just basing that off of this one trailer. If you base it off the other trailer, it would look like Black Panther was the most important character because he has more lines of dialogue in the first trailer than any other character. From what we've heard, the two characters with the most screen time in this movie, if the Russo brothers were actually trying to be literal, the Russo brothers suggested that the two characters with the most screen time are Thor and Thanos. Now, the two of them have the most screen time. Now, whether they're being literal when they say that, who knows? Maybe Captain America does have more screen time. Maybe Iron Man has more screen time. I mean, who knows? If you look at the poster, it's Iron Man that's standing there front and center in front of Thanos like this. So the poster makes it look like Iron Man's the most important character. The first trailer makes it look like Black Panther's going to have more than anything else. The second trailer makes it look like Captain America might be the most important. I mean, it's going all over the place. But what we've heard from the Russo brothers is that if they're being literal, and they may not be being literal, but as Thanos and Thor get the most screen time, other than that, we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. But I do not believe for a second that Captain America dies in Infinity War. I don't believe it for a second. He totally could. It's possible. I'm not sitting here telling you to bet against it. I'm just saying I don't believe it. I do not believe it for a second. It just doesn't seem to make sense. Patrick O'Malley writes, do you think we get any pop music in Infinity War? I really hope Rocket is discovering Thunderstruck on the Walkman when he meets Thor. That would be funny. Hey, look. If Star-Lord is going to be in the movie, there's going to be some 80s music. Maybe even a little bit of 90s music. I believe we will get something. I don't know what in context, and to degree how much, but I think we will get something. That's my thought anyway, Patrick, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Jose M. writes, do you still believe that Thanos is defeated in Infinity War? I think it's possible, yeah, I do. I think it's possible. I would bet against it. If I had to put $10 on the line, I'm going to guess that he lives into Avengers 4. But I do think it's a very valid possibility. I would give it a 30% chance, which is valid. That's a valid number, man. 30% chance means it's a very real possibility it could happen. So I'm on board with that if it happens. I am. All right. Eric Wahlberg writes, I've heard Hawkeye and Ant-Man have secret mission in Infinity War. What have you heard? Well, we've already talked about that a little bit this broadcast. I have not heard that they have a secret mission together. That would be different. I mean, and who knows? Maybe they do. Maybe Ant-Man and Hawkeye go off on this mission together, and that's why we don't see either of them. Maybe Ant-Man is in a ton of those scenes in the trailer. He's just this small. People joke about that, but all joking aside, that's a possibility. So, but yeah, as I've already mentioned in this video, I have heard about the secret mission thing, possibility of him going off trying to find Captain Marvel, all that kind of stuff, but we've already covered that ground. But clearly, Eric, your thinking is on the same wavelength as a lot of us. There's some kind of secret mission going on. All right, Matt Joe writes, if Loki dies in Infinity War, wouldn't the effect be gone? They fake killed him twice. I have a feeling that they know if they kill Loki, they got to kill him. Because you're right, they've gone to the well a couple of times on that, just with Loki alone, let alone with how many other MCU characters. The fake deaths in the MCU has been one of their, like, banes. The banes of the MCU have been the fake deaths. But I got a feeling if they kill Loki here, they know it's got to be for real. And if what everybody's, suggesting here, that shot in the trailer with Thanos holding Thor's head, he's making him watch Loki die. It's going to be disturbing. It's going to be horrific. It's going to be emotionally scarring for Thor. And I think it's going to be final. Look, Tom Hiddleston has had such a great run in the MCU. It'll break my heart that Loki's not going to be around. He's one of my favorite MCU characters. But if he dies for narrative, if he dies to push the story forward, if his death has narrative purpose, then I'm all for it. So we'll just see how that kind of goes. Nick Smith writes, I love The Dark Knight Rises, but I feel Nolan should have killed Batman. This would have made more sense with the character and the story. Well, I don't know that it would have made more sense with the character. I don't see why Batman has to die at the end of it. Although there is no rational explanation about how, just at the last minute he jumps out of a helicopter and is able to swim far enough to evade a nuclear explosion. I mean, there's just no explaining that. I mean, that was a bit of a cop-out. I have a feeling that maybe Nolan, again, I haven't heard this from anywhere. This is just me guessing, all right? I have a feeling that maybe Nolan was going to have Bruce die, but Warner Brothers was like, we may want to use this character again in the future, so let's not close that door. And it was the end of the franchise, so it didn't really matter. I mean, it's not like they should have died there because the next chapter was affected. There was no next chapter. So it was the very end. Ultimately, it didn't really make any difference. And again, I don't think it made any more or less sense for the character. To me, that's not the issue. The issue is, did it make sense? Like, how could he get away from a nuclear explosion that fast? That is the bigger thing to me. Donnie Yasu writes, noticeable absences from the Infinity War trailer. Nick Fury, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, Maria Hill, Nebula, and Nakia. Well, I would say the only ones that are really noticeable absences are Hawkman and Ant-Man, because these are Avenger characters, right? Maria Hill is she's not an Avenger. She's an Avenger associate, but she's not a major player. Although I love Colby Smulders, and I love the Maria Hill character very much. But I mean, she's not Ant-Man. She's not Hawkeye. She's not an OG Avenger. You know what I'm saying? Same with Nebula. Same with Nakia. So look, there are 500 characters in this film. There's certainly going to be a ton that don't appear in the trailer. To me, it's not noticeable by their absence for either Hill, Nebula, or Nakia, or Nick Fury. And Nick Fury's not just missing from the trailer. Apparently, he's not in the movie. Samuel Jackson's not in the movie, from everything we understand. I mean, unless they're going to surprise everybody, and it is kind of weird, but Samuel Jackson's not in the movie, so it makes sense that he's not in the trailer. Yeah, to me, still, the only noticeable ones by their absence is the OG Avenger, Hawkeye, and the guy who became an Avenger, essentially, in Civil War, Ant-Man. And the guy who's got his next movie is immediately after Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man. So those are the only two that really stand out to me as being noticeable by their absence, if you know what I'm saying. Oz writes, can I work for you, John? I don't have anything for you to do, unless you can show me that you're an expert in a whole bunch of different stuff that I need help with, then sure. And as long as I can pay you like $10 a week, then we're good to go. Other than that, I don't have the money to pay you. Sorry about that. Ryan Platts writes, have you seen Love, Simon? It's such a great movie. Yeah, I just recently saw it. I saw it a little bit late, and it is a really nice movie. It's a nice movie. And, I was mentioning this on the John Campea show earlier today, that I didn't know that it seemed very much geared. I mean, it's a story about a young guy coming out, basically. And it's more about how he interacts with himself and is dealing with acceptance of himself as well, and how he's learning to express that. I didn't know if that I could relate in any sort of way. But you know what I found out? It's a human story. It's not a white or black or gay or straight or rich or poor story. It's a human story. And it's quite nice. It's not in my top 10 films of the year or anything like that, but it is a nice movie. It really is. And it should be getting more attention than it is, to be honest with you. Act Naturally Productions writes, I know you don't like the Iron Spider, again with the Iron Spider suit. I know you don't like the Iron Spider suit in this movie. Couldn't you say the same thing about Hulk in the Hulkbuster armor? Well, look, there's a big difference. Two big differences. Number one, I don't think Hulk is in the Hulkbuster armor. So that kind of ends the discussion right there, okay? I don't think Hulk is in the Hulkbuster armor. I think it's probably, for many reasons, I think it's probably Bruce. It's Bruce, but not as the Hulk. He's not the Hulk. We've seen still shots from the movie with Bruce standing beside like the giant hand of the Hulkbuster armor. I think there's a lot there to suggest that he's the one who gets in. And Hulkbuster was not designed to be piloted by somebody the size of the Hulk. So I don't think he's piloting it. But number two, even if it was the Hulk, there's a difference between one of the heroes picking up a certain weapon for a scene versus this is who the character is now. Like, it would be different if in, like, one big final fight in Homecoming, Spider-Man got his hand on this Iron Spider suit and wore it for one scene in a battle. There's a difference between that and he just, for the entire Homecoming, he's wearing this high-tech AI-infused suit. And clearly he's wearing, it's now a part of who he is because he's wearing the Iron Spider suit in Infinity War. It's a part of who he is. That would be different from, say, Hulk putting on the armor for one battle scene. But again, I think the point is moot because I don't think it's Hulk that's in there. And there have been several things that kind of point to that, from some still shots, some toy shots that we've seen come out. I think the smart money is that it's Bruce in there. Another possibility is that it's Shuri, Black Panther's sister, remotely operating it, much like the way she remotely operated the car in Black Panther. So that's another option. But I don't think it's actually Hulk inside the suit. Let's see. Lowell writes, bring on the filthy, thank you, Lowell, to star Felipe, the sentient dancing microphone, co-stars the mustache, the Superman mustache, and the Iron Spidey suit. Yeah, you guys just want to rub it into me, don't you? You just want to rub this Iron Spider thing into me. That's fine. That's fine. I can take it. Okay, let's see. Twitty Britty writes, what do you think of 4DX? Good for Infinity War. I have never experienced 4DX. I've never been to a theater that's used it. I've always been to first of all, they don't have it in Canada. At least they didn't have it in Canada when I was there. And in the US, I live right by the ArcLight Cinemas, I used to live right up the street from the ArcLight Cinemas in Hollywood. They don't have it. And now I live right beside like 3 AMC theaters. None of them have it. So, other than those theaters, ones I normally will go to are like the AMC Century City, or the AMC at the Universal City Walk. So I've never been to one, so I can't really comment on that. I've heard decent things about it, but I've just never experienced one myself. Christian Brantley writes, have you seen the trailer for 8th Grade? It is written, directed by Bo Burnham. It looks really good to me. Very interesting look at this generation. I have seen the trailer. It looks kind of interesting. My biggest problem with it, and this is me, this isn't a problem with the trailer, this is me, a problem with me, is that I am one of the only people in the world that didn't like Lady Bird. To be honest with you, it bored me to tears. But, I mean, everybody else loves it. I totally acknowledge that. Everybody else loves it, so I'm not going to trash talk it. I'm just saying it didn't work for me. And this trailer reminded me so much of Lady Bird. It feels like a new version a slightly younger version of Lady Bird. I mean, clearly it's not. It's a different character with different issues and all that kind of stuff. Yes, but it felt like Lady Bird to me. And because of that, and because of the fact that I just don't like Lady Bird, the trailer didn't do anything for me for 8th Grade. Now, that's not to say I won't watch the movie, and the movie might knock my socks off, which is totally possible. We've seen that happen 100 times. But yeah, the trailer didn't work for me, but it might just be because it reminded me too much of Lady Bird. So that's a possibility. Let's see here. Next one comes to us from Corey Bulger, who writes, I think Banner is in the Hulkbuster armor, and later he turns into the Hulk and rips out of the armor. Banner might not want to turn into the Hulk because he's afraid he might not be able to come back, so he fights with the armor. I agree. I don't know that for a fact, but I think that is most likely. Because remember, in Thor Ragnarok, he says, look, if I turn Hulk again, I may never come back. He turns Hulk to try to save everybody, all the Asgardians. And when that movie ends, he's still in his Hulk form. Even though the fight's done, he's stuck in his Hulk form. The theory is he gets his ass handed to him by Thanos and gets knocked, bitch slapped all the way back down to Earth. and he winds up in a crater at Doctor Strange's place, and he's transformed back into Bruce. So Bruce now faces the same problem. If I turn back into Hulk, I may not naturally be able to turn back into Bruce again. He doesn't want to be Hulk. He gets the Hulkbuster armor, and maybe in the midst of that fight and all the damage he takes, he turns back into the Hulk, blah, 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 and there you go. So I think your theory, again, I don't know, Corey, if you're right, but my way of thinking is kind of in line with yours on this. I'm thinking the same way. It would make sense. It does fit into all the facts that we know in front of us. So I'm sure we'll find out soon enough, though. All right. Benny95 writes, John, who would win in a fight? Thanos with the Infinity Stones or Superman? Same thing I answer all the time, man. Whoever the writer says. Because you can say, we're going to have Thanos with the Infinity Stones fight Superman, and one guy writes it, Thanos wins. A different guy writes it, Superman wins. It's just, there's just no way to answer it. I just have no way to answer that. It all depends on whoever is telling the story. Because look, in a reality where, depending on who's writing it, Batman beats Superman in a fight, then it always will depend on who is writing it. It'll always depend on who's writing it. Corey writes again, what show is better, Black Lightning or Luke Cage? Well, I will say Black Lightning, but with this asterisk. I would give, if we were only talking about the first half of season 1 of Luke Cage, I would say Luke Cage was better, just by a little bit. I think the first half of season 1 of Luke Cage is a little bit better than Black Lightning so far, and I really enjoy Black Lightning a lot so far. But the problem is we have the second half of season 1 of Luke Cage, which was not nearly as good. And so if you're going to take the totality of season 1 of Luke Cage versus what we've gotten from Black Lightning so far, I take Black Lightning. If you just compare it to the first half of season 1 of Luke Cage, I'll take Luke Cage. But if you're going to take the whole season 1 of Luke Cage, I'll take Black Lightning. By the way, more of you got to watch Black Lightning. It is better than you think. It is certainly better than I thought it was going to be. I'm having a really good time watching it. Let's see. Starman writes, every villain thinks he is doing the right thing. Okay, so where Starman is referring to is that the other day on the show I was mentioning how the most terrifying villains are the ones who think they're doing what is right. Because along with their evil, they have conviction to go along with it. And that makes them even extra dangerous. Starman says, every villain thinks he's doing what is right. No, they do not. They absolutely do not. They absolutely do not. So many villains in movies know they are the villain. They know they are the bad guy. Whether they're because they're trying to kill this person or steal this thing or whatever, they may feel justified in doing it for their own selves, but they know what they know what they're doing isn't the right thing. And that, I think, is a hell of a lot of the villains we get. It's not common that the villain actually thinks, I'm the good guy, like I'm trying to be the hero, when actually what they're doing is making them the villain. That's not as common. So I'll disagree with you. Now, if what you mean by every villain thinks they're doing the right thing is like, this bank robber thinks he deserves to have that money that's in the bank, and therefore they think what they're doing is right, that's a different definition. I'm talking about villains who truly think they are doing the greater good. What is right for everybody? What is the heroic? They see themselves as the hero in the story. Those are the ones that are most dangerous. And like a great example of that is the operative played by Chiwetel Ejiofor in Joss Whedon's film Serenity. It's a great example of a dude who sees himself doing what is good and right when really he's the villain, and that makes him all the more dangerous. There is a big difference between that, Starman. So I see where you're coming from, but I will disagree with you on that. Sujith writes, Tomb Raider has a solid base. Now make a killer sequel to lift the video game movie curse. Easier said than done, though. Well, easier said than done, and the question will be, does it make enough money to justify the studio taking a chance of making a sequel? They have plans to make a sequel, but those plans can change just like that depending on the financial results at the box office. So they did not have as strong of a start as they were hoping. We'll just have to see if it has any kind of legs at all to justify doing another one. Alia writes, wanted to say, I love how you are such an incredible, compassionate person. Applause and joining the chorus. So very excited for Infinity War. Oh, well, thank you so much, Alia. I really, really appreciate it. That's very nice of you to say. And yes, all of us so excited for Infinity War, man. You know, I always say the job of the trailer is to take your excitement level, wherever it is for a movie, whether it's really low or really high, and elevate that interest, elevate that excitement. That's a tall order for a movie like Infinity War when everybody's already really excited for it, and yet they did it. They put out a trailer that has elevated all of our excitement for this movie. All right, let's keep going here. We get on now to Lori Scott, who writes, regarding Infinity War ticket sales, I have tickets for April 26th, April 27th, April 28th, and April 29th. I bet there are others like me. Oh, you're damn right, Lori. There are probably a whole hell of a lot of people like you. I am just now really hoping for people like you who have bought that many tickets for successive days that you like the movie. I really hope you like the movie, because it would suck now if you go to see it on the 26th and walk out going, what the hell was that piece of garbage? Like, that would suck, because now you're stuck with these other tickets. But I envy you. That's a great thing to do. I'm probably going to be lucky enough to see it 2 or 3 times before the movie opens. But I got my tickets for opening night. Even though I'm already going to have seen it a couple of times, I've got my tickets for opening night. I cannot wait to be there. It's going to be, the energy in that theater is going to be so hyped. I cannot wait. It's going to be so great. All right, let's move on here. Aaron Harris writes, who wins in a fight? Dom from Fast and Furious or Thanos with the Infinity Stones? It depends on who writes it. If it's the writers, because this is my biggest criticism. You probably are playing on this because you've heard me say this before, Aaron. One of my biggest criticisms of the Fast and the Furious films, and since Fast and the Furious 4, I've hated Fast and Furious 1, 2, and 3. But ever since Fast and Furious 4 and onwards, I'm on board with Fast and Furious. I think they've become a hell of a lot of fun, and I have a really good time with them. I think Vin Diesel is a great lead for it. The Rock obviously took it to the next level. But here's my one criticism, is that they make Dom Toretto just some dude, who fixes cars, is the most lethal special agent assassin on the planet. Nobody can beat Dominic Toretto. Like, you could seriously have a scene. I joked about this before, but it's true. You could have a scene where you send in a military squad with 8 tanks, helicopters, and 40 of the most highly trained military personnel in the world against Dominic Toretto in a closed room, and Dominic wins that fight. Because it's Dominic. Dominic Toretto is completely untouchable. He's the world's ultimate warrior. Nobody's better than him. He's the best at everything. And that's frustrating. And I really first noticed it and rolled my eyes when they had the scene. Don't get me wrong. It's not just because The Rock would obviously beat Vin Diesel in a fight. It's not that. But it's that this character, Hobbs, that The Rock plays, this FBI guy, this guy who trains combat. That's what he does. His life. And they had a fight where Hobbs fought Dom, and Dom won the fight. And at that moment, I believe that was Fast and Furious 5, I just did the biggest eye roll. Like, I swear, my whole head might have moved with the eye roll. I might have gone, oh. Like, when they did that, I was like, come on. That character, forget Rock and Vin Diesel, that character would not beat that character in a fight. That's completely ridiculous. But that was just the signs of the things to come. Because in everything else in Fast and Furious, you could literally have Dom fight Smaug from The Hobbit. The dragon Smaug, as voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch. You could have Dom Toretto with nothing but a monkey wrench fight the dragon Smaug, and he'll beat him. And beat him quick, too. Like, that's just, it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I love these movies, but they've got to power down Dominic Toretto a little bit. Because right now, Dominic Toretto beats Batman, Superman, Thanos, Captain America, the Dragon Smaug, I mean, you name it. He beats Galactus. If Galactus is coming to Earth, you don't need to get the Fantastic Four back to the MCU. Just get Dominic Toretto, because Dominic Toretto will beat Galactus the way they write him. It's kind of silly. Anyway. I've gone off on that a little bit too long. Luna Comics writes, who is your favorite turtle? I'm going to go, I don't follow I used to love the comics, the black and white ones. Anyway, in the movies, it's the hot-tempered brother with the red. He's my favorite. It's that Donatello, is that Donnie? I think it's Donnie. Anyway, I'll go Donnie if that's the one I'm thinking of properly. Let's see. Paul Wallace writes, what's your favorite decade for movies? Mine is the 80s, followed by 90s and 70s, but I think this decade could become number 1. Man, it's hard not to be in love with the current age of movie filming. though, of movie filmmaking, because they're doing such amazing things now. Since 2010 onward, it's great. Other than Today I'll Go 90s, but I am pretty much in love with the modern art of filmmaking too. Like, I'm really on board with it a lot. R. Lee writes, Black Panther is still the biggest solo pre-sales movie. Nitpicking? Well, it's the biggest comic book solo pre-sales movie. We talked about this on my show the other day. There are people out there who think that Infinity War just set the record for advanced ticket sales. It didn't. What it did was it set the record for advanced pre-sales tickets for comic book movies. So there are a whole lot of people writing to me saying, John, did you see that, Infinity War sold more pre-sales tickets in the first 24 hours than The Force Awakens did? And it's like, no, go back and read the news stories again. No, it didn't. It set the record for most advanced ticket sales for a comic book movie. It didn't beat the Force Awakens record. So no, it's not nitpicking. It is a fact. Black Panther is still the highest pre-sales ticket selling thing for a solo comic book movie. That's still true. So it's not nitpicking. It's an accurate thing to say. As long as you're specific, then it's a totally accurate thing to say. Laurie Scott writes, if the DCEU ever gets its footing, would you be interested in the movie based on the Forever Evil storyline? Ooh, Forever Evil. That's a deep cut. Not a lot of people know a lot about Forever Evil. So Forever Evil is like this story, and I'm oversimplifying it. First of all, no, you couldn't make a movie out of this. No audience would get on board with it or even remotely understand what's going on. But so basically, the Justice League is dead. All the other good big heroes are dead. The villains take over the world from like another Earth, come take over the world. And then, Earth, one of the Earths, Lex Luthor from Injustice Gods Among Us, leads a bunch of other villains who want to stop the other villains. It's pretty cool, but it's also pretty convoluted, and it's just a little too inside baseball for, I think, the average movie-going audience. I don't think they would get it or be on board with it at all. It's a little too much. So no, Laurie, I don't see them doing that one. But interesting. I've never had somebody ask me about that one before. Bomb Squad writes, how much destruction do you think Thanos, I think you mean Thanos, will bring? Oh, I think we're going to see a hell of a lot of destruction. I think we're going to feel the stakes in this one very high. A hell of a lot of destruction. A lot of nasty, nasty things. Nasty, nasty things are coming to the world in Infinity War. Bomb Squad writes, how surprised would you be if Infinity War breaks The Force Awakens opening weekend record and becomes the second $2 billion movie? Well, couple things. It wouldn't become the second $2 billion movie. There are already 3 of them. So it would have to become the fourth $2 billion movie. The 3 movies that are already $2 billion movies are Avatar, Titanic, and The Force Awakens. So there are already 3 $2 billion films. Theoretically, Infinity War would then become the fourth $2 billion film. It has a shot. It has a shot at becoming a $2 billion film. I would still be quite surprised. Like, it didn't equal The Force Awakens' first 24-hour pre-sales, despite the fact that today more people buy their tickets pre-sale than they did back when The Force Awakens came out. And yet The Force Awakens still sold more. So I still don't think it's possible. It's totally possible. Don't get me wrong. I am not sitting here saying there's no way, it is impossible for Infinity War to equal ticket sales, but it's behind, and I don't see it catching. I think it'll sell more tickets than Black Panther did, but I don't think it'll break that 242 million. I think that's what the mark is. I think it's 242 million is the opening weekend box office record. I don't see it beating that. So it could, it's possible, but if I had to put $5 on it, I would put $5 that it's not going to match that number. Let's see. Javier Belmer writes, all hail the god of movie. If that was directed to me, your worship is misdirected, but I thank you for the compliment anyway. Thanks a lot, man. Mr. J writes, I was rewatching an old AMC movie talk show the other day for some reason, and you happen to be talking about the BioShock movie. Is that movie dead now? I can only guess. It feels like it's dead. And I'll tell you what, if it's not dead, it's got to be on life support now, especially after the performance of Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider, which is a more popular, more well-known IP than BioShock is. I'm not saying it's a better game or not. I'm just saying it's a more well-known IP. And if it only performs to opening up to 23 million domestically, any studio who's thinking about putting a lot of money into a BioShock movie has got to now be very, very trigger shy. Very, very trigger shy about pulling the trigger on that, because it just doesn't look like video game movies can make money. And I have a feeling it might be dead now. I think Tomb Raider may have just buried it. But you never know. Stranger things have happened, man. We'll have to see what happens. I'd certainly be interested in a BioShock movie. Nolasco writes, where do you get your haircut? It's really cool. I have a horrible haircut. I have always had horrible haircuts. I just can't, like, ever since I cut my hair, because I used to have hair like down to here, which I know is hard for you guys to imagine, but I did. I used to have like really long hair. But I have had impossible to do hair. So I've had the same stupid, ridiculous haircut for years and years and years and years. I get a cut at Supercuts. I just tell them, use clippers, 6 on the top, 3 on the sides and the back, and blend it in. There you go. That's my haircut. Everybody else has much cooler hair than me. I have stupid, boring hair. Let's see. Laurie Scott writes, Supernatural Scooby-Doo episode. How pumped are you? I cannot even put into words how excited I am for this, because only a show, Supernatural could do it, and maybe another show that's equally kind of whatever in a position that they could do a Scooby-Doo episode is maybe Legends of Tomorrow, but really it feels like only Supernatural could do this. So for those of you who don't know, Supernatural has an upcoming crossover episode. It's going to be animated. Sam and Dean Winchester from Supernatural are going to team up with Scooby-Doo. And it's going to be animated, and it's called Scooby Natural instead of Supernatural. I am so excited for this. I've been excited for this for about a year. Ever since they first announced that they were doing it, I've been counting down the days. And you guys, if you don't watch Supernatural, this might be one you want to check out just for fun. Okay, let's keep going here. Colico writes, some are criticizing the way people are positively reacting to Black Panther, going as far as stating that only real life inspires them, suggesting there's something wrong otherwise. Your take on this? Oh, tell them to shut the fuck up. Real life heroes in life often point to stories, fictional stories that give them inspiration, stories that we create, even ones that are fictional and based on fictional characters, whatever. They come from a place of wanting to express who we are, who we aspire to be, the best of us, the worst of us, all that kind of things. It's the heart of the human storyteller that is incredibly inspiring. And all these people that you say are the only real life people who inspire me, they will probably tell you about stories, even fictional ones, that inspire, influence, or help shape who they are. We as a species are storytellers. That's what we are. You go back, I've said this many times, you go back to our earliest days as a species, whether it's drawing pictures on a cave wall, telling stories around a fire at night, being able to come up with the printed page, all that kind of stuff. We are, by nature, what defines us as a species is that we are storytellers. Whether they are fictitious or real, they all express the same things: our hopes, our dreams, our fears, who we are, who we want to be, who we fear we become, all those sorts of things. So anybody who would say that to me, oh, the only things that inspire me are real people, I'll go, okay, well, you go enjoy yourself. That's fine for you. I'm not going to poo-poo on you, but I'm not going to pay much attention to you if you don't see the inherent value in the stories that we tell. Not that all stories are on equal footing, but the nature of stories, even fictional ones, are at the heart of who we are as a species. So anyway, that's my kind of thought about that. Thanks for the question, man. Ali Hussein writes, is it possible that Thanos has all 6 gems in the trailer? Maybe the CGI gauntlet, just like Thor eyes. So this is a popular thing going around right now, is that in the trailer we see Captain America holding off Thanos' hand, and you see in the glove there's 2 of the Infinity Stones, and it's still missing a couple. So people are speculating, well, in the first trailer for Infinity War, they showed Thor with both eyes. So they CG'd that to trick us. What if they're doing that here? But the big difference is this, is that when they did it for Thor, they weren't trying to hide a spoiler for Infinity War. They were trying to hide a major spoiler for another movie that was coming out first, which was Thor Ragnarok. That is not the situation here. It's a totally different thing. I don't really see there being any point. If that was the case, why not just CGI out the entire gauntlet? Why not just have Thanos' bare hand? pressing down on Captain America. And then we can all just speculate, oh, does this happen before he puts on the gauntlet? Does it happen after? Or maybe he's just doing it with his left hand instead of his right hand, blah, 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 blah. There's no real point to showing the gauntlet with two of them in there. So is it possible? Of course it's possible. It's also possible that Captain America in that shot is not actually Captain America, but it's actually Quicksilver from Age of Ultron. That is Quicksilver back from the dead, and it's Quicksilver holding off his hand, and they're just CGIing him out and putting Captain America in to hide the spoiler. So is it possible? Sure. But then you can ask that question for every single shot in the trailer. Every single shot in the trailer could be, it's possible that's not really what it is. They could be CGing stuff to hide a spoiler. You could say that for every single shot. So I just don't see the purpose of it. I don't see how it hides anything. If you see 4 gems, if you see 1 gem, if you see 3 gems, if you see no gauntlet on it at all, I don't see how it's a big spoiler one way or the other. So it's possible, yes. But I'm not really thinking along those lines because you could say that about every single shot in the trailer. It's possible in this shot in the trailer, they're CGIing out something to hide a spoiler. So it could be, sure. But you could say that again for every single shot. So I'm not really giving it a lot of thought. Lori Scott writes, but John, I saw you last night. I rewatched the Hulk. Oh, that's right, because I'm in the Hulk movie with why am I forgetting Edward Norton with Ed Norton's character. Anyway, you were a highlight. Aw, thank you so much. Funnier than I recalled, but I don't like the chemistry between the leads. Yeah, I like that one. I like that Hulk movie, but I'll agree with you. The chemistry between the leads didn't work quite as well. So I'll agree with you on that. I'm totally on board with you on that. And thank you for watching the film. Let's see. Thomas Gilkey writes, do you think the MCU would be as successful as it is if Robert Downey Jr. wasn't in it? Well, that's impossible to say. It's impossible to say. Look, we know Robert Downey Jr. in the role. So that's all we know. It's very difficult for us as human beings to picture the role with somebody else. But the reality, this is just fact, okay? The reality is another actor could have played the role and done it even better. It's possible. Robert Downey Jr. has done amazing in that role. I'm so glad he got the role. But let's not go, well, since that's the one we know and he did a good job, that means nobody else could have done it. And if anybody else had done it, nothing else would have worked quite as well. That's naive thinking. It is absolutely possible. With the tens of thousands of actors out there, it's possible there was another actor out there who would have fit the role even better and maybe even done a better job. Whole bunch of them that wouldn't have done as good as him, but maybe some that might have done better. The fact of the matter is we don't know where we'd be right now. Maybe the MCU would be in even a better place than it is right now. Maybe not as much. We just don't know. It is impossible to say. All we can say is that Robert Downey did get the role. He's done a great job and is certainly a big part about why the MCU is as successful as it is right now. He's certainly a big part. But we can't say if you take him out of it and put in a different actor that we wouldn't have also still been in this place, or that we would have been in a worse place, or that we would have been in a better place. It's simply impossible to tell. All we can say is that he's done a great job in the role, and he is one of the big reasons why it is where it is today, for sure. Let's see. Alex James writes, bought 6 tickets for Infinity War, then of them bailed on me. I think what you meant to say, I'm guessing here, is then a bunch of the people who you bought tickets for bailed on you. Don't worry about it, Alex. You will have no problem selling those tickets. You will have no problem selling those tickets, especially if you got the tickets for the first day or two. You'll be able to resell those, no problem. No sweat whatsoever. Dirk Walker writes, Tomb Raider opened low. Ready Player One is tracking much lower than I expected. Are other movies suffering because Marvel is soaking up so much hype? No, I don't think so at all. I think it's just a matter of, look, Tomb Raider, it just suffered from the marketing wasn't great. And the fact that so many people have been burned for so long with bad to horrible video game movies. We've had so many. It's not like we've only had 2 or 3 video game movies. We've had dozens of video game movies, and they have all sucked. And eventually that catches up with you. With Ready Player One, look, this newest trailer they put out for Ready Player One is spectacular. But all the other ones have been, okay. I mean, nothing that's going to jump up. I've seen nothing in the trailers other than this newest one that just came out this week. But nothing in the trailers have jumped out and made it go, this is a must-see movie. They just haven't done a good job with it. And that has nothing to do with Avengers. It has nothing to do with Black Panther. It has nothing to do with Jumanji. It has nothing to do with all the other films people are talking about. So yeah, I just see it. It's really more a matter of marketing. And they just have not marketed this stuff well. That's the way I see it at any rate. Hudson Smith writes, John, if I have reserved tickets to Infinity War at 8, if I have reserved tickets to Infinity War at 8, any ideas on when I should get to the theater? I know it will be packed. Well, this is one of the reasons why I completely believe every movie theater in America should have pre-assigned seats. So you don't have to worry about going to, because now here's the thing. You just spent what? Let's say you bought 2 tickets. Minimum, you just spent $25 on 2 tickets. If you lived where I lived, you've minimum just spent $30 on tickets, okay? And you have no guarantee. You just spent that money. You have no idea where your seat's going to be. You have no guarantee you're going to get a decent seat. You might end up in the very front row doing this the whole movie, or front row to the side so you're doing this the whole movie, trying to see what's going on. It is ridiculous. It is prehistoric. It is so ass backwards that in the United States of America, we still have movie theaters where you don't know which seat it is you're getting when you buy your ticket. That unless you show up 2 to 3 hours early to get in line and stand in line like a doofus, just like a moron standing there. I'm just standing here. Why? Because I'm going to live forever and time isn't valuable. Therefore, I'm going to stand in a line for 3 hours. And that's the position they put you in, that you have to go there, stand like a moron for 3 hours just so you hopefully get an okay seat for seats you already paid for. This is why every theater in America should have pre-assigned seats. Because you know what? I got my tickets for opening night. I don't have to show up there 3 hours early. I can show up 5 minutes before the movie starts, get in line, grab my popcorn, grab my soda, take my seat because I know exactly where it is. No one's going to be sitting in it when I get there. And I can sit back, relax, and enjoy my movie because I paid for that damn seat. Anyway, honestly, if it's for opening night at 8 o'clock, I'm guessing 3 hours. Probably 2.5 to 3 hours. 2 hours, you might still be okay, but I think you're pushing it. Somewhere between 2 to 3 hours early, you probably got to get there if you want to make sure you get a half decent seat. So that's the best thing I can suggest, man. And dude, insist when you talk to the manager at that theater, talk to the manager of the theater and say, when the hell are we getting assigned seating? So I don't have to waste my time like this next time I want to come see a movie. True Father Sankofa writes, Peace, John. What's good? How cool would it have been if when T'Chaka took off his helmet in Black Panther, it was Wesley Snipes? That homage would have been great. No, it would have been stupid, man. All due respect, man. All due respect. That's great if you think that would have been cool. I think that would have been one of the stupidest things in the world. For those of you who don't know, there was talks for a while that Wesley Snipes was going to play Black Panther in a much earlier incarnation. Never actually ended up happening. But no, that would have been ridiculous. It would have been confusing and dumb and stupid. And no, just not a good idea at all. It's cool that you think so. I will disagree. I will humbly disagree with you, my friend, on that. That's just going to be one of those things we're going to have different opinions on. But no, I don't think that would have been good at all. Quite awful, actually. I think it would have been just terrible. Lincoln Robinson writes, I think everyone is Vision, the one character designed by the MCU to die in Infinity War. Thoughts? I don't think Vision was designed to die in Infinity War. I really don't. He very well could die in Infinity War. It's very possible. I mean, he's got something Thanos wants. A big part of this movie is about protecting Vision. We know that the whole Wakandan thing is about they take Vision to Wakanda specifically to protect him from Thanos and what's coming. Whether they succeed or not, we'll have to find out. We saw that one scene in the trailer where they got him pinned down and they put the blade on the thing, going to pull the stone out of his head, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know that he dies. I don't. So, and even if he does, I don't think he was only brought in just to die. But you are thinking big picture, and maybe you're right. If he dies in this movie, and if it's by that, maybe it was by design the whole time. Maybe the whole reason they brought him into existence in Age of Ultron was specifically so he could die in Infinity War. It's possible. I don't think that's the way they're doing it, but your theory is not far-fetched. All right, let's keep going here. Nathan C. writes, Scarlet Witch goes insane, warps reality in Avengers 4. I don't think so. Although, again, what you're suggesting fits in. Like, if Vision dies, she's clearly falling in love with Vision. She goes crazy. But reality warping is not something that they've shown her power to be in the movies. We know she has affiliate powers like that in the comics, but they have not shown that that's a part of her power set in the movie, so I don't think that's what happens. But hey, it's not a bad theory. Mr. Film writes, digging Dark Avengers theme / score in Infinity War trailer. Yeah, the music in the trailer. Look, there are many things about the trailer that are fantastic, but the music is certainly one of the big highlights of it for sure. All right, Ranrek writes, hey John, love your work. Thank you so much. Do you think there will ever be a Trick or Treat 2? Thought the first one was a brilliant horror anthology. Go Leafs go. You know what? That is like another film that a lot of my friends love that I didn't like. I didn't like Trick or Treat. I thought it was a waste. But Rannick, you like it, and a lot of my friends really like it. Like, my friend Dorina was over last night, and she's like a horror aficionado. She loves horror, and she loves Trick or Treat. A lot of my friends who really appreciate horror love Trick or Treat. And I watched it, and I'm like, this isn't all that good. But that was just me, man. So, no, I don't think so. I don't think we're ever going to see a sequel to it. It really didn't do much at the box office. It became a little bit of a cult hit, but not enough that I think any studio is going to want to invest a bunch of money into making another one. But I could be dead wrong about that. Maybe I am. Gigi the Grasshopper writes, can we play Fortnite together? I was mentioning on social media, I started playing Fortnite the other night, and I suck. Like, I suck. I played 5 games. Came in like, I think the worst I did out of 100, the worst I did was like 52nd. The best I did was like 22nd place. But I didn't kill a single person. I wasn't able to take out a single person. As soon as I came across anybody, got into any kind of fight, I got smoked. I suck at this game. But no, I kind of like these games being able to play solo. Like, even when I played World of Warcraft, I just like playing solo. So I didn't even do a lot of instances or anything like that. I like playing solo. So that's that. Franklin Donahue writes, hey, John, if Black Panther is still in the top 10 in the box office when Avengers opens, will this be the first time any franchise has done this? Well, first, I don't think it's going to be in the top 10 still. It only made $27 million this weekend. It's still got 6 weeks to go. It's probably going to get bumped out. But even if it was, it probably would be, but that's really nothing special because, I mean, it's probably going to be the only franchise type of thing ever where they put out 2 movies so close to each other that it was even conceivable that it could happen. So it's not like you can go, let's say it is in the top 10 when Infinity War comes out. It's not like you can go, it becomes the first ever to achieve having 2 films in the top 10 from the same franchise at once. But that's fine, but no other franchise was ever in a position to do it. You know, no other franchise puts out a movie 8 weeks before the next film in its franchise comes out. No one ever did that before. So to say it's some big accomplishment for it to still be in the box office, in the top 10 of the box office when the next one comes out, isn't that big of a deal. Like, if Infinity War came out 7 months after Black Panther and Black Panther was still in the top 10 when Infinity War came out, that's an accomplishment. That's huge. What would be the bigger accomplishment is that Black Panther is still in the top 10. That's the big accomplishment. Not still being in the top 10 while another MCU movie comes out. That means nothing because, again, no other franchises put out films, who have ever put out films to even be in a position where they could do that. So that's not the big thing. The big thing would be Black Panther still in the top 10. That would be the big headline. My voice is starting to go, guys. I've been talking for 80 minutes straight. Okay, Tyler Roberts writes, new theory, Thanos isn't crushing Thor's head. He's making Thor watch the death of his brother Loki. Not that new of a theory, Tyler. We've already had 2 or 3 other people mention that in this exact thread. Clear, we've already commented on it. So yes, that is clearly something a lot of people are talking about right now. Bomb Squad writes, theater I work at just opened an IMAX theater. I got free IMAX now, and it's awesome. Saw Tomb Raider last night. Going to see Pacific Rim and Ready Player One. Probably seeing Avengers like 50 times. Yeah, look, my favorite theater is still the AMC Prime with Dolby projection. But the IMAX is a great theater experience. And the fact that you work at one that's got it now, and you're going to be able to see all these screenings, you're pretty lucky, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that and enjoy yourself, man. I'm happy for you. Jordan Benjamin writes, a way to fix Suicide Squad. Bin off Enchantress. Do you mean kill off Enchantress? Make Joker the main villain, trying to get back Harley using his henchmen. We didn't get enough Joker. Well, I like Suicide Squad, but yes, one of the big things I agree with is that the Enchantress is a terrible villain. And they simply did not give us enough Joker and Harley. I like Jared Leto's Joker. I know a lot of people don't, and that's fine. I did. I just thought they misused him a little bit. Oh, sorry about that, guys. I just thought they misused him a little bit, and that they simply didn't have enough screen time. And I especially love the chemistry, the on-screen chemistry between Joker and Harley. I thought the on-screen chemistry with them was fantastic. They just didn't give us enough. So I think there are a number of things they needed to do to make the wider audience appreciate. I still had fun with the film, though. I still enjoyed it. Dirk Walker writes, if you told me 10 years ago that I'd be watching a movie where the Hulk is wearing the Hulkbuster armor, fighting off Thanos at the gates of Wakanda, I had to call you crazy. And that's not even the half of it. I know, right? What a day to be alive. I don't think it's Hulk in the Hulkbuster armor, but everything. If you had told me a while ago we're going to move with Hulk, Hulkbuster armor, fighting off Thanos at the gates of Wakanda, it's like, what are you talking about? They can't make that movie. And now here we are. It is the true golden age of comic book movies right now. As my friend Robert Meyer Burnett would say, it is the true golden age of comic book movies now. That we're being able to see things that just a few years ago, man, we never even would have been able to dare to think about or imagine, Dirk. And it's just crazy that we get to have that now. Okay, guys, I'm running out of voice, so I'm going to really try to fly through these next bunch of questions here. No Way, No How writes, as Peter matures, he realizes he doesn't need the suit as a crutch, again with the Iron Spider suit, and grows up into real Spidey. Seem to get a little of that vibe from Homecoming. Hey, man, I'm all for it if that's what they do. If Spider-Man at some point in Infinity War or Avengers 4 goes, you know what? I don't need this. This armor stuff is just getting in my way, and just ditches it and just becomes the true Spider-Man again, I'd be all for that. That would be great. No Way. I would love that. Let's see. Koa1708 writes, have you ever seen Snowpiercer? Chris Evans and Ed Harris. It was amazing in it. I love that movie. You know what? I did, and I didn't love it. I thought it was very creative. It's got a great vision to it. I just kind of found it awkward. I didn't like Snowpiercer nearly as much as most people did. It's good. I liked it, but a lot of people, oh my God, it's so revolutionary, blah, blah, blah. It's like, and I watched it, I'm like, oh, all right, I guess. It's okay. Anyway, that's just kind of my feeling on it. But all film is subjective, man. All film is subjective. Brian Rogers writes, did you ever see Help, I'm a Fish? Featuring Alan Rickman. It's my childhood film. I never have. I'll be honest with you, Brian. I don't think I've ever even heard of it. But if it's got Alan Rickman in it, you've got my attention. The moment you say Alan Rickman's in it, boom, my ears pop up. And now I'm probably going to do a little bit of searching for it. Thanks for bringing that up. Let's see. Efren Garcia writes, good morning. I'm excited to see Isle of Dogs this Friday. Will be my first time watching a Wes Anderson movie at the ArcLight Pasadena. What's your first experience at the ArcLight Cinema? Oh, I can't remember. It probably wasn't anything all that memorable because when I first moved to Los Angeles, I got an apartment right on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood. I thought that would be cool. All it was just overly priced and kind of dirty. But anyway, but right up the street, about a 10-minute walk up the street was the ArcLight Cinemas, 15-minute walk up the street. And I would just walk up there and go watch movies there. But I don't specifically remember the first time I was in there. I remember being impressed with the theater. It's a nice theater. I enjoy it a lot. It's a good theater. But I honestly can't remember my first experience in it. And I've been to the ArcLight Pasadena a couple of times. But the ArcLight Hollywood is kind of their flagship theater. Let's see. Solido0739 writes, when are we getting a Glass trailer? Well, I mean, the movie doesn't come out till 2019, so I don't know. It's way too early to even be talking about it. To me, it's way too early to even be talking about a Glass trailer. The movie doesn't come out for like 10 or 11 months. So take a deep breath. Let's just give it some time. Give it another 3 or 4 months. Javier Rodriguez writes, will A&W be forever... Sorry, will A&W or Ant-Man and Wasp be before or after the events of Infinity War? From what I understand, a big chunk of it happens before the events of Infinity War, like shortly after the events of Civil War. And then I think near the end of it, it catches up. I'm not 100% sure about that, but that's my understanding of it at this point. Tinosvaldo writes, I went and purchased Best of the Best. Oh, good for you, man. which I haven't seen in years. I was 14 in 1989. What a terribly awesome movie. John, I'll be your brother. And I humbly offer myself as your new brother. Oh, Dahan says that. Best of the best, like ultimate grr man movie. Grr man movie. That's what best of the best is. Eric Roberts, James Earl Jones, Chris Penn. Go see it. Watch Best of the Best. All for that last scene at the medal ceremony. Between Tommy and Dahan. If it doesn't make you feel, if you're a man, if you don't feel like standing up and going, at the end of that movie, you're dead inside, man. You're just dead inside. Love that movie. Congrats on buying it. Derek Large writes, could we see an Avengers 4 teaser trailer as a post-credit scene in Infinity War, just like we did with the Avengers at the end of Captain America? I don't think so. The movie is still like over a year away at that point. I mean, look, it's possible. It's possible, but you know, we got 2 other MCU movies coming out between Avengers 3 and Avengers 4. And so something glimpsing it, maybe, but a flat out teaser trailer like they did that one time, I don't think so. It's possible. They've done it before. There's precedence, but I don't think they will, but it's totally possible. Tinosvaldo writes, about the Iron Spider costume. Just kidding. Have a great day. Yeah, you guys are starting to catch on. It's like, oh God, why is everybody asking me about this stupid Iron Spider costume? Very funny, man. Very funny. I guess I deserve that. Wowzers writes, came across your how to start video, and although it's still relevant, would you ever consider making a new video due to the new technology we have today? So what he's talking about is, I made a video a few years ago, getting 3 or 4 years ago now, called How to Get Started in YouTube, Blogging, and Podcasting. If you want to find it on YouTube, it's a 2-hour video. Just search for John CAmpea Getting Started. Just go up to your YouTube bar and search John CAmpea Getting Started, and it'll probably be the first video that comes up, where I talk about how to get started in blogging, YouTubing, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I have been considering making a new version, but I'm trying to decide whether to do it as a video or to actually write it as a book. And I'm going back and forth on that. Either would be a big time commitment for me, but I'm trying to decide, put it out as an ebook that you can just download. But let me think about it. I'm still thinking about it. I've got a lot of work I got to do on a lot of different things, but it is something I am going to update. I'm just not sure when. I'm not quite sure what format I'm going to do it yet, but give me some time to think about that. All right. Next one comes to us from Video Punks, who writes, what is your favorite road trip movie? I don't know. Don't know. I'd have to think about it. Favorite road trip movie. National Lampoon movies. Again, I would have to sit down and make up a list and think of, because there's probably some big obvious ones I'm just not thinking of off the top of my head. It's a good question. I would need time to think about it. Texas Reaper number 92 writes, my top five currently before Infinity War takes my first spot are number 1, Civil War, 2, Homecoming, 3, Winter Soldier, 4, Avengers, 5, Black Panther. Great show, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. My all-time favorite MCU movie is still The Avengers. The original Avengers, to me, is still the greatest comic book movie of all time. But, I mean, Civil War, amazing. Winter Soldier, amazing. I mean, so many... Oh, God, they've put out so many good ones, man. It's a good list. Texas is a good list. Let's see. My Chow Zambrano writes, John, love your show. I think Cap is going to die. Good send-off or no? I think it'd be a great send-off for his storyline. Unfortunately, my favorite Avenger too. I just think he's too important to the MCU to kill off. Let's put it this way. If they do kill him off, and it's possible, but if they do, that would be incredibly ballsy. But I just don't think they will. I do not think Chris Evans is done with the MCU yet. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll find out. I'm not going to choke if they do it. It is totally possible. I know it's possible that they do it. I just don't think they will. Gallant Sector writes, without spoiling it for others, the Lego sets for Infinity War shows who's in the Hulkbuster suit. Well, no, the Lego has somebody in the Hulkbuster suit, but that is by no way definitive or says that's what they're going to do in the movie. We have seen that before. We have seen that before with toys, where the toys show one thing, and yet it turns out to be something different in the movie. We have seen that happen before. There is precedent for that. So, for those of you who don't know, there's a Lego set out now with the big iron, like the Hulkbuster suit, and there's a character inside of it. I could tell you who the character is, but you can look, if you want to look it up, just Google it, you'll see who it is. But that is by no means a definitive statement. This confirms that this is who is in the suit in the movie. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, because we've seen before, sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not. So don't read too much into it. It is possible it's not that one particular person that we're referring to. All right. And the final question today, hour and a half into it, and my throat is killing me. Dibset writes, in a recent interview with E.T., the Russo brothers expressed being excited to introduce Captain Marvel in this movie, Infinity War. Is that confirmation on an appearance? No, it's not. Because really, if you read it again, what a lot of people believe he meant by that is in like Avengers 3 and Avengers 4. Because remember, they're filming Avengers 4 right now. I don't know. I really don't, but it is certainly not confirmation, because there are a lot of people who read that and think, oh, he's just talking about having Captain Marvel in Avengers 4. A lot of people a lot of times directors, actors, they word things maybe in a way because they didn't script it out, and maybe they word things wrong, whatever, and then we build entire theories around the way they word things. It's possible Captain Marvel shows up in Avengers 3, but I would not. I've seen the interview you're talking about. I did not take it in any way, and I would not take it in any way as some kind of confirmation that Captain Marvel is in Avengers 3. I don't see why they would reveal that in an interview on Entertainment Tonight and yet not just then put her in a trailer. If you're going to talk about it openly, then why not just put it in the trailer? You know what I'm saying? I think it's more likely that she shows up in Avengers 4 after the Captain Marvel movie comes out. But who knows? Again, anything is possible. All right, guys. That will do it for this hour and a half long video, but we are now all caught up on all the questions you got. Again, we had a lot to catch up on today. We had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday mornings questions to get caught up on. The rest of the week, these videos will be much shorter than that, but that is our companion video for this Monday. Thank you so much for joining me. My voice is about to go. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. My name is John CAmpea, and until my next video, bye-bye.